Fasten your chin strap and put your pads on. Get a grip on the bat, here comes a fastball. We ain't going one and done, we're here to last long. This the top of the standards, get ready to blast off. Alright, let's do this. Bang! Bang! Every Sunday afternoon, big sports fanatics coming out your speakers like a piston running with magic. Game time status good to go is automatic. Ready for the blowouts and the instant classics. Calling all the teachers, all the fathers and the mothers. Calling all the kids, all the sisters and the brothers. Dynamic high schoolers in the game like no other preseason. Game 7s, hey, y'all know we got it covered. From the finals to the Super Bowl to the World Series to the Stanley Cup final. Over here we spit it clearly. Andrew Hale and Jotham Israel coming with the hottest topics. Hey, you know what's up with sports. People wanting it, we got it. Yeah, get in the game. It's the top of the standards, man. Get in the game. It's the top of the standards. Yo, get in the game. It's the top of the standards, man. Get in the game. It's the top of the standards. Come on. Get in the game. It's the top of the standards, man. Get in the game. It's the top of the standards. Yo, get in the game. It's the top of the standards, man. Get in the game. It's the top of the standards. Come on.
Yeah, top of the standards. That's what it's about, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, season 2 is here, baby. Yes, Jotham Israel and Andrew Hale, we're back and better than ever. Yes, we got a ton of sports to talk about, as always. And yes, I can rap. I produced the song, I wrote the lyrics, and I rapped it. That is my voice. Yes, you guys better believe it. But before we get started...
Have you ever wanted to create a podcast? Well, if your answer is yes, then download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right now. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. Yes, free. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. Yes, you heard that right. It's that simple to get your voice heard around the world right now. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer to truly make your podcast perfect. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And lastly, get this, you can make money with no minimum listenership. Who doesn't like money? It doesn't get easier than Anchor, so again, head on over to your phone's app store and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. I don't think, when I first started watching the NBA, that the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz would be two of the best teams in the NBA. I would have never thought that that would even be a possibility because of those two teams' histories. I'm just so happy for the Phoenix Suns, man.
Yeah, this feels like the 90s again. You know, when the Suns had Charles Barkley and the Jazz had Malone and Stockton and them boys. This feels like the 90s when the Jazz and the Suns were legit, finals contenders, Western Conference contenders. This feels like the 90s, and I'm loving it. It's looking real nice, and I am so ecstatic. The Utah Jazz are the first team with 50 wins, and the Phoenix Suns are right behind them and still jockeying for that number 1 seed. I cannot believe I'm seeing. If I told you that neither the Lakers nor the Clippers would finish top 2 in the West, I probably would have got slapped, bruh.
Yeah, no Lakers fan would ever tell you that the Lakers would potentially be playing in the play-in game, which is insane to think about, but they have not played well. LeBron keeps on getting hurt. This is not good. This is not good at all.
Both him and Anthony Davis, quite frankly, dude. It's getting ugly. At this point, made the healthiest team win,
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what it's coming down to now, dude. I mean, the Lakers, they got some things to address in the offseason because the team shouldn't be this bad, minus LeBron and AD. Like I understand right now they don't have Schroeder due to another health and safety protocols thingy, but man, your team should not be this bad. You're still a professional basketball team, man. Like this is bad, dude.
Dude, I mentioned it, I think last week or the week before. This is the reason the Pistons got so little for Andre Drummond. He had 0 points going into the half against the Clippers. That should be happening. It really should be happening. If you sign this man to help your team and he has 0 points going into half, that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you what, Drew. Montrezl Harrell can't catch a break.
No.
This man can't catch a break in Los Angeles, man.
It's crazy. You signed Montrezl Harrell and Andre Drummond, and you're getting absolutely nothing. Who would have thought?
You're getting bodied.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, dude. So yeah, Jazz Suns, great story. Clippers are still right in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it out of the West. I mean, that's still not a surprise. If Paul George can get his postseason play straightened out, then they can. I can definitely see them beating the Jazz and the Suns, and making it to the final stuff. I don't know who's going. I mean, it's a toss up. This is what I love to see. Like you see two teams that you've never seen with this type of success before, and then right below them is a team that you expect them to be in the championship. And dude, this is going to be, and then their opponents, their first round opponents, could be formidable opponents. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks or the Blazers would steal something from one of these teams. I mean, this is a loaded conference that we're talking about, man.
Yeah, I don't know. If you were the Jazz or the Suns, would you want to be playing LeBron and his Lakers anytime in the playoffs? That's a scary sight.
Ugh, dude, that's going to be. See, that's why I want the Battle of LA in the first round rather than the Lakers in the play-in round. I mean, unless the Lakers find a way to lose both play-in games, it has to be Battle of LA. They have they lost to them this past week. They have to find a way to jump them because the Blazers have a tough schedule to end the season. They got to play. I believe they have to play I know they have to play the Nuggets. I believe they have to play both the Jazz and the Suns again. Ew, that's very tough. Meanwhile, the Lakers, they get the Suns tonight. Yeah, they get the Knicks later. But then they finish off against some relatively easy teams, like I believe the Pacers are amongst one of them. So the Lakers definitely have the easier schedule, so they better find a way to grind this out, or you're going to be seeing a really, really loaded Phoenix Suns or Utah Jazz team in the first round, and that's going to be nasty.
Yeah, I think the West is going to be insane, but what about the East? This is interesting. I could see some upsets in the East. I don't know, but dude, the Nets, they have to go to the finals. We say this every week, but there's no reason for them not to go to the finals.
You know what? I want to apologize to the Brooklyn Nets fan base for what I said last week. I said that this team would be the number one seed in the East, even though they had a tougher schedule than the Sixers. Boy, was I wrong. They lost 4 games in a row, and the one game they win is against a Murray-less Jokic carried team. Like, dude, I get it. Brooklyn is loaded. We got to see what happens. Hopefully James Harden comes back. They're saying that he might come back before the playoffs, which would be huge. The big three would finally see more time together. But, dude, you're in serious danger of having to slip down to the 3 seed because Milwaukee busted you twice. And they are literally half a game behind the Nets for that second spot. And my thing, I was talking about, I want Battle of New York in the first round. Well, the Brooklyn Nets might have to see the Miami Heat in the first round instead of a team like the Hornets or the Wizards or maybe even the Celtics. Oh my gosh, dude, what a Uno reverse card.
Dude, that'd be a good series too. Hey, and you're really familiar with that series too. You're really familiar with the Heat and the Nets. You're really familiar with that series.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm going to. This is going to be so much fun. For once, the Eastern Conference actually looks formidable. Like this is the best I've seen the Eastern Conference look since I got into NBA basketball. Quite frankly, because obviously, when I got into basketball, that's when the Cavs started going to the finals every year, and nobody could beat the Cavs in the East. But dude, there's still some seeding left to be determined. I think the Sixers might as well have them locked up at this point. They have probably the easiest schedule remaining out of all the Eastern Conference teams. And then the Knicks and the Hawks are battling for home court. I don't know, man, because look, the Boston Celtics are in the play-in round and the New York Knicks are 4th place. And they're only 2 games apart from each other. So a winning streak could mean a lot. A losing streak could mean a lot. It could be the difference between hosting, having home court in first round to having to play in the play-in round. So this is huge, man. This is what you love to see, man. I love to see this, man. Intensity, playoff races. Let's go, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be crazy. This is exciting.
Yeah. Now I have a question. Did you hear about Mr. Griffin's comments about Zion Williamson's finger injury?
I saw a little bit about it and about how he was not happy at how officials were, calling fouls against Zion or not calling fouls against Zion because of his, I believe, broken pinky, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting because I'm like, oh wow, he is really passionate and speaking out about this, and I'm just like, well, that just came at a bad time because I mean they're only 2 games behind the Spurs for a chance in the play-in round, and the Spurs have been slumping, and I mean slumping. But I mean it is what it is, I guess. They did give the Sixers, the healthy Sixers, a fight without Zion, without Steven Adams, which was quite promising. But man, this Pelicans team is so inconsistent, and they've choked so many fourth quarters. I mean, they're not really deserving of a playoff spot, but they still have a chance. But man, there are so many games you can point back to earlier this season. Most notably the one against Portland when they were down, where they were up like 14 with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and Portland just absolutely blazed them, pun intended, in the fourth quarter. Oh boy, they're gonna be punching the air in the offseason at those losses, man.
And the Knicks game where they should have fouled and they hit that 3. Yeah, they've had a few pretty tough losses. I do think that they need to kind of restructure their team a little bit. I do think that Lonzo probably won't be returning. There were talks of him getting traded all season. So I think they need to find someone at the point guard position, whether it be in the draft or in free agency or maybe a trade. So I do think they need to, get some better pieces, better fits around their team. But I think they're in good hands with Zion. I think they'll be playoff contenders each and every year once they find those issues.
Yeah, I mean, at least in Lonzo's case, he was chosen by a Marvel superhero, so he has that on his free agent market resume. Oh my gosh, dude, that gave me good times, a good flashback of that NFL Nickelodeon wildcard game, man. That was dope to see. Freaking Ryan Rucco, freaking Richard Jefferson pulled up with a whole Iron Man helmet. I was done, bro. As a matter, I have an Iron Man helmet in my closet. I should have pulled it out before we started recording. But dude, that is actually very hilarious that this collaboration actually happened out of nowhere. It reminded me of you remember the crossover that ESPN would do with its college basketball teams, make the college basketball teams do NBA games, NBA teams do college basketball games. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Just slap marble on it.
That is true. I heard that MLB did something similar too. Right after, I'm not really too sure, but a lot of crossovers between cartoons and sports is kind of funny.
Could this be the start of a new trend, Mr. Hale?
Maybe. I mean, ESPN is owned by Disney. Maybe we'll see, some Disney movie Pixar people playing sports. I don't know.
I think my thing. I'm pitching this. Gary Bettman, listen to me. For the Stanley Cup Final, put the I'll say a random first round game, maybe between the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs, since those are the 2 most jokish franchises right now that are in playoff contention. Put those teams in a random playoff series. Put it on Cartoon Network. Get regular show characters. Get my boy Mordecai and Rigby out there. Get my man Johnny Bravo. Get my man Shaq. Get my boy Scooby Doo in there, and have yourselves a whole Cartoon Network. You know what I'm saying? Tom and Jerry.
That would be wild. That would be crazy.
Oh my gosh. Make it happen, Gary. Make it happen, man.
Hey,
my gosh.
You heard the man. Go get on that. Get on that.
Yeah, but bottom line, I'll say this, dude. This NBA playoffs is about to be exciting. There's 1 week left in the season. Obviously, play-in round is next week. Oh boy, we're heading into the final stretch. Technically, this should be conference semifinals time, but hey, I'm fine with this because we get NBA finals in July, and then we don't have that much of a layoff between the NBA finals and the NFL. So this is really good. This is really good stuff on tap.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
All right, dude. There's been a lot, and I do mean a lot of action in the MLB so far this season. We've seen not one, not two, not even three, but four different no-hitters in a little over a month. What is going on with the pitching staffs this year?
I don't think it's more on the pitching staff side. I think it's more on the hitting side, obviously, because it's the beginning of the season. They've only played for a month and a half, obviously spring training, but you gotta understand it was a long layoff between the playoffs and spring training, so they have to get their bats warmed up. Obviously, as time goes on, I won't expect four more no hitters, but who knows? I believe April was the worst month for hitting in probably MLB history. I believe the batting averages were down, the RBIs were down, the home runs were down, so everything was down with hitting. So I'm hoping, because everyone loves offense, everyone loves seeing home runs and runs scored. So I'm hoping that the bats start to heat up as time goes on. But I think it's more based on how bad the hitting has been this season in the MLB rather than pitching. I mean, all credit to the pitchers for throwing the no-hitters, but the hitting has been pretty bad.
You know what? I'll adhere to that because outside of the extra inning games, the extra inning marathons that we've seen so far this year, in 9 innings, I haven't seen a lot of scoring from the games that I've seen that just taking 9 innings into account. Obviously, extra innings are a different story. You have an inherited ghost runner on second base for crying out loud. Yeah. So you should be able to score that run technically, but it is what it is with these teams. This kind of reminds me of NHL's rule where you have a 3-on-3 overtime and then a shootout in the regular season, but then you go right back to normal continuous overtime 20-minute periods in the playoffs. This is kind of like the MLB's version of it. And look, people are split between I don't like this rule, I like this rule. I love this extra inning rule in the regular season. I honestly don't care if it's a rule or not in the playoffs. I don't think it should be a rule in the playoffs because, I mean, hey, more playoff baseball. You shouldn't apply that rule in the playoffs. But in the regular season, I'm fine. I am perfectly content with keeping this rule permanently because it definitely makes, those games a little shorter and, dims down the risk for injury. Like, come on, man. It's 162 games. Who wants to play an 18-inning game and then turn around in 10 hours, they got to play an 11 a.m. game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, everyone talks about how baseball is boring and how it takes too long. Well, they'll add a runner on second to hopefully speed it up. And it has worked a little bit because we haven't seen many games go to the 13th inning. It usually ends in the 11th or the 12th. So I think they're doing a good job. I kind of like it. I like how it keeps it exciting. One hit and then the game could be over. So it makes it more faster. It keeps it more exciting.
Yeah, I think the longest game we had this season was 12 innings. Mm-hmm. I think we had a couple of 12-inning games.
One last night.
I know there was
one last night.
Yeah, dude. How did the Philadelphia Phillies lose that game?
Pitching.
Oh my gosh, dude. Look, Phillies fans. Oh my gosh, they have to be incensed by that bullpen. They have some decent starting pitching. I like what I've seen from Aaron Nola and them boys out there in Philly. But bro, what is up with that bullpen? Alvarado, what is it? De Los Santos. Dude, David Hale. What's going on? Yeah. What's going on, dude? You can't see, dude. I don't know what it is with this Phillies bullpen, but man, you're not gonna play October baseball when you're blowing games like that, especially early.
Yeah, your team scored 3 runs in the 12th, and you still lose.
Oh my gosh, dude! And dude, not only that, but the pitcher that came in, De Los Santos, He came into the bottom of the 12th with a 3-run lead, run on second, nobody out. This man he didn't even record an out. He didn't even record an out. Oh,
that's really bad. And you know what else is bad? I was watching the Angels and the Dodgers. The Angels were losing 13-0, and they came back. I think they lost 11-14 or something. But it was if they would have won, they would have completed the biggest comeback in MLB history at 13. So the bullpens have not fared well this season. I mean, you take Kershaw out after 5 because why keep him in? You're winning by 13, and then I think they took out Mookie, they took out Turner, they took out all of their really really good players, and they almost blew it. So high scoring game there, and we almost saw another bullpen failure.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I get it. With Dustin May out for the season, I get it. You're probably going to take a little hit in that pitcher stat, but man, something's up with that Dodgers bullpen, and that's the question that I had with them last when they went on their World Series run. Was that bullpen finally going to hold their chins up in the final 3 innings? Because you've seen them choke games and lose in the playoffs because of their bullpen.
Yeah.
And even though they still won the game, dude. And that's a pretty dark close call, dude. Losing, you're up by 13 and you only win by 3. To the Angels, it's like, I mean, the Angels are middle of the pack trying to get there, but they're not there. Jeez, dude. I don't know what to. I don't know, man. The Dodgers, they just might hand the division to the Giants or the Padres this year.
Yeah, the West is insane, both AL and NL. The wild, wild West, man.
Yes, I love it. I also love that we made it out the first month over 500, and we're somewhat in the wild card discussion. Like, even though it's only like 30-plus games in, I'm still happy for now that we are somewhat in playoff contention. But the Cleveland Indians have stepped it up. The White Sox are stepping up. We obviously seen the Red Sox, stay consistent, but I want to see this Blue Jays team really step up. I know George Springer got, quote-unquote, hurt again, but when he comes back healthy 100%, oh, man, I want to see this Jays team fly.
Yeah, I think they're really good. I really like Vlad. I've loved Vlad since he came into the league. I remember watching his first few games, hoping he'd hit a home run. He's playing well. Bo Bichette, he needs to continue to play well. Biggio, they're young 3, they're core 3 in my opinion. I think they all need to step up. They're all playing decent, but the pitching again. They need some better pitching. I do like the team though. I really hope they can continue throughout the season, become successful, and make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a better record than the Yankees, that's a pretty high bar that you set for yourself, and you accomplish some things, and it gives you a little confidence,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you can just string a few wins together, get ahead of notorious good teams, better teams throughout their entire history. So the Blue Jays, if they can keep ahead of the Yankees, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Wild Wild West, the clanky Centrals, and what about the Eastern divisions? Specifically, this NL East. Okay, Drew, we finally have some teams over 500 because we've been looking at this division like, okay, you guys are saying this is the best division in baseball, the most competitive division in baseball. Somebody needs to be over 500. I can understand if you say it's the most competitive, but saying it's the best, we got to see some results because these teams aren't off to the hottest starts, and we just saw the Phillies just absolutely implode in extra innings. I mean, they blew a 2-run lead in the 9th, a 1-run lead in the 11th, and a 3-run lead in the 12th. Like, dude, you gotta be kidding me! And I instantly went to Philadelphia sports channels. And just to see the rage, you know how when something stupid happens to a specific team, and you just look up, this team's fans' reactions to this team blowing this game on YouTube. Dude, first of all, you love to see it. It makes me laugh. But bro, Hunter Brody, He hosts a show called Sports Talk with Bros. Dude went on a whole rant. It was so hilarious. It was just like, dude, Philadelphia sports. I mean, they're really passionate for one, but dude, when they get pissed off, oh my gosh, they are heated.
Yeah, they remind me of Yankees fans. They always have. I mean, you go to a Sixers game where you see highlights, fans get a little wild there. But as for the East, I think that it's unfortunate that, Francisco Lindor is playing pretty poorly after getting that contract. He hasn't gotten going yet. I think when he gets going, I think the Mets will be a real tough team to beat. Obviously, they signed James McCann in the offseason, really good catcher for the White Sox last season. But I do think that their pitching is good. They have Jacob deGrom, who's year in and year out should be the Cy Young. But, I think they need to get Francisco Lindor going. Once he gets going, I could see them going places.
Yeah, and interesting, they fired their hitting coach earlier. So that's a pretty abrupt and interesting move. There's been some really interesting moves in New York recently. We'll get to the other one in the next topic, but dude, look, the Mets and the Phillies are tied atop the division. The Braves are right behind them, a game and a half behind. The Marlins are only 2 games behind. The Nationals are only 2.5 games behind. It's still May. I mean, look, you know what I would want to see? I want to see a 14 round robin for the NL East crown. I want to see a 4-way tiebreaker. I wonder what would happen in a 4-way tiebreaker. Because, it could very well happen. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm betting my money on it, but I would love to see it.
Hey, go Marlins, right?
Yeah. Miami definitely, they've had some tricks up their sleeves. Winning against the Cubs nearly every time that they've made the playoffs, they've won the World Series. Nearly. Yeah. Obviously, the Braves put that to a halt until they blew a 3-1 lead to the Dodgers. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm excited. This is awesome. And then I'm starting to see more weekday ESPN games. I like those. I like those ESPN. Keep those up.
There you go. Matinee baseball.
I got one word to say. Caniac. Let's freaking go, bro. I said last week, I expect to have this division clinched by Sunday. And we clinched it on the weekend. Let's freaking go, bro. Now, we're still fighting with the Vegas Golden Knights for the President's Trophy, yada, yada, this and that. I don't really care about that now. We got to get out the Central. Bro, let's freaking go. You tried to tell me all year long. You were right. I had some doubts about this team. I didn't know how they were going to perform. I did not know. I did not think they were going to be this good. I thought they were going to be where Nashville is right now, but no. This is I'm loving this.
Yeah, the only reason I said that they were going to be this good is because their team really hasn't changed over these past few years from when they made the playoffs. They really have the same players. They really have the same core, really, really superstar players. Aho, Stahl. But I'm not surprised one bit. I do think that they are probably. I wouldn't say that. I honestly thought that the Lightning were going to win the division after winning the Cup last year, but it is really impressive that they were able to come out on top. I knew that they were going to make the playoffs, but come out on top. That's really impressive.
Yeah, and I believe the Hurricanes split the season series with the Lightning, it was like 4 games to 4 for both teams. So that gives me confidence. Now, obviously, the playoff matchups in the Central are locked in. You got the Hurricanes and the Predators, and we're going to have the Battle of Florida. Holy crap. The Panthers and the Lightning have never met in the playoff series until now. Oh, this is going to be nice.
What is the over-under for fights in that series?
Lightning, I'll say freaking 4.5.
Okay. That's a good number. I could see a lot. Those division rivalries can get a little bit crazy. City rivalries at that.
Oh, yeah, dude. This is... I'm loving it, and home ice is still up in the air too. If the Florida Panthers get one more point, they'll get home ice. I would really try hard to get that, at least get a point. I don't know if you should go as hard in overtime because you already got home ice and you know who you're facing. Yeah. Like I would see what Tampa Bay's mentality is like. Then I would, you just take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, 100%. This is crazy. I never thought that I'd see the Panthers and the Lightning, get into a series together. This is insane.
Now, if only they had that defenseman. I forgot his name, but he was a heavy contributor to the Panthers.
Yeah, got hurt. Eklab.
Yeah, Ekblad. I hope. I wish he was here healthy, 100%. But you know what? This Panthers team is still really good, even without him, which is dangerous considering that they're literally at the top, near at the top of the division, dude. Like, this is unbelievable. And shout out to the Florida Panthers, man. They definitely turned it around. That Joel Quenneville steal from Chicago must have felt. First of all, that must have felt nice for you, knowing that he's out of there. He's out of there.
Well, just that, and I mean, if you can get a coach who's had success for the Panthers, I mean, that's huge no matter what team he comes from.
Oh my gosh, dude! Now the Florida Panthers have to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Cinderella story can't just stop here. It just can't stop here, man. I want to see the Panthers and the Hurricanes for the Central Crown. I want to see it, but we'll see.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Oh.
You know what series I would realistically want to see? I'd want to see the Caps and the Rangers. Imagine a series between those two.
Oh, yeah. If only the Rangers didn't get eliminated. Oh my gosh, that would have been. See, that would have been a real slugfest.
Yeah, that would have been a WWE Royal Rumble. Everyone fighting, line brawls.
Oh my gosh, over 100 penalty minutes per game combined. You know what I'm saying? Whew. Oh my gosh, man. But you know what? They still might find themselves playing a New York-based hockey team if the Islanders can find a way to beat the Bruins, and the Bruins, can't, win another game. But another thing I also called that the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to win the division. Now, you might not like it that much. I know how much you don't really like the Penguins. And I mean, I have some history with the Penguins. I could have very easily been a Penguins fan because I like penguins. I like animals. I like the penguin animal. So I saw the Penguins winning Stanley Cups when I first got into hockey. I'm like, oh, this Penguins team is really cool. And obviously, I saw their dominance and I was like,
Gross.
Sidney Crosby. I like Sidney Crosby, but I can understand why his opponents really don't like him that much.
Yeah, similar to Marchand on the Bruins.
Yeah, I can definitely see why, but dude, I called that too. The playoff matchups are still up in the air, which is absolutely insane. I don't know, Drew. Are the arrows pointing towards Capitals, Penguins? Are we going to see? Do you think we're going to see that series potentially for the Eastern Division Championship?
That would be a very, very exciting series. I think those two teams are pretty evenly matched. I think it'd be a shootout, honestly, literally.
Yeah, dude. Either way, there has to be a series in the East that goes 7 games because even though the Islanders have been slumping as of late, I don't think they're going to get dominated by any of these 3 teams in the East. I mean, they still, play very physical. They just need to score. I mean, they need to score because, the defense is there, but the offense just has to, get it going because, they're right there with the Flyers and the Devils for, some of the lowest scoring teams in the division. So they definitely have to step it up, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they have to. They made all those acquisitions at the trade deadline, acquiring so many good players. I mean, you'd think they would, be a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, and don't think that I forgot. This week on the Montreal Canadiens, what the heck are you waiting for, Montreal? Clinch the playoff spot already. Clinch the freaking playoff spot. Why are you letting Calgary and Vancouver hang around? Clinch the playoff spot already.
No, don't do it for my sake, please.
Dude, literally, I did the math. Literally, all the Canadians need to do is get one more point to clinch the playoff spot. That they just need one more point because the maximum amount of points that the Flames and the Canucks can get with their points right now and the games that they have left, the maximum points that both of those teams can get is 57. The Canadians are already at 57. They have 2 games left on hand. So unless the Canucks go on a 7-game winning streak or the Flames go on a 5-game winning streak, the Canadiens, all you have to do, you need to get 1 point. You don't even have to win another game. 1 point clinches you a playoff spot. If they find a way to choke this, Andrew, you are the genie of the century.
I called it here first. That would be so funny. But for people in Montreal, it would not be funny, and I'd probably feel a little bit bad because imagine the Lions. They just needed one more win to clinch the playoffs, similar to that division title. But off of NFL, I would feel for them. I would definitely feel for them. I don't know what I would do if that were the Red Wings or a team I root for.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unlikely considering that I believe the Flames and the Canucks play each other obviously a few more times since, some of their games got postponed. So it's not like both of them, are, neck and neck in the playoff race. They could easily eliminate each other just by splitting their games. That's how close. That's how close the Canadiens are to clinching a playoff spot. You can just sit back and watch the Flames and the Canucks split 2 games, and you'll clinch a playoff spot. Oh my gosh, dude! The Canadiens are they're something else. I mean, the Hurricanes definitely have a history with them in the playoffs, but that's an interesting franchise over there in Montreal. That's a very, very intriguing in recent memory, especially because.
Yeah. It is.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
Whew. But you remember you said Wild West last segment? Yeah, this Western Division is wild too. Dude, obviously the Vegas Golden Knights are still in contention for the President's Trophy. I think they'll get it because, they have a game against the Avalanche. That could go either way. That's a toss-up. I hope we get a playoff series. I hope we get Knights Avs. That would be so lit. But they have one more game against the Sharks, and obviously the Sharks are the Sharks. They're eliminated. Not as good. They were in playoff contention for a bit, but obviously they fizzled out. But hey, you never know. That I mean, the Knights and the Sharks, wouldn't you say they kind of have a little bit of a rivalry?
I mean, a little bit may be an understatement. After what happened in that one playoff series 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, hey, when 2 teams split a playoff series, that is an early signal for a rivalry. But when a team is salty after losing a playoff series, like the Vegas was up 3-1. They were up 3-1, dude. That's when I felt rivalry in my veins because I was like, I'm
not even like a crazy Golden Knights fan. I mean, I like their team. I do like rooting for them, but I'm not like an avid supporter. And I was salty.
Yeah, it just felt like I remember watching that series. I'm thinking, especially in Game 6 in Vegas, I was like, especially when Tomas Hertl made that guarantee, which was insane. I was like, dude, you better own up to it, or Vegas is gonna hand over a very, very bad escort back to San Jose, my guy. And he came through. That's one of the most memorable moments of my Stanley Cup experience.
Yeah.
I will say this though. Whoever faces the Minnesota Wild in the first round, which it looks like is going to be Colorado, whoever faces Minnesota is going to get worked. They're going to get worked. They may not get beaten, but they are going to get worked.
That's a fair assumption. I mean, the Wild, we've been talking about it all season, weird enough, but they're a good team. They're very, very solid.
Yeah, I'm very excited that because I mean I could see them beating Vegas or Colorado. Maybe not both of them, but one of them, yeah, definitely. Because they have such a young team. They have that rookie. What's his name? Kaprizov or something.
Yeah, I think so.
It's somewhere close. Yeah, but he's been tearing it up. Minnesota, they have something to root for. They have something. They have a team to root for. I mean, this is beautiful. And obviously, I would love to see them win the Stanley Cup, go on one of those, oh my gosh, that team won the Stanley Cup type runs. But, yeah, pretty exciting. 15 of 16 teams clinched. Montreal, what the heck are you waiting for? But I don't care. This is exciting. Let's get it on. I hope that the Canadiens clinch so that we can start the playoffs a little earlier because obviously if the Flames and the Canucks are still in contention, then why would you say, you know what, we're going to start the Northern Division playoffs even though the Canadiens haven't clinched.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, the quicker the playoffs, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, some seasons end, but it's an exciting time. Let's crown this champion. Let's start. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right, dude. Let's get to MVPs and LVPs. Who is your MVP?
So on Thursday, I found out about a new league that is very, very intriguing. It's called the Professional Fighters League. It's on ESPN on Thursdays, I believe, and it's very interesting because when you think of MMA or the UFC, you think two fighters are, I wouldn't say randomly matched up, but there isn't really any logic to how they're matched up. Obviously, it's based on weight divisions, but in the Professional Fighters League, it is the only combat sports in which there is a regular season, a playoff, and a championship series. It's really weird. I mean, you don't really think of, combat sports having any logic to matchups or anything like that, but there is a regular season with, I think probably rotating opponents and stuff, which I just thought that was very, very interesting, and it must have gotten a lot of interest because a lot of fighters, or a few fighters in the UFC have actually transitioned over to the Professional Fighters League. They've moved on from the UFC, and even a boxer, Clarissa Shields, a really, I think one of the best female boxers of all time, actually stopped boxing and went over to MMA to participate in the Professional Fighters League. So it has gained a lot of interest from other leagues and people wanting to fight for their league. But it's very interesting. I really think it's cool how there's a regular season, of playoffs, and a championship series. It's crazy. I mean, I don't even know what to say. That's insane.
I don't want to say that's awkward, but it's definitely unconventional because I'm just used to. When you think about combat sports, I'm thinking, okay, you match up against this person because we want our money. Yeah. We want our pay-per-view. We want the biggest stars all the time against each other. We want this, as soon as a guy challenges another guy, bam, let's get that fight on the market. It could be anybody, YouTubers, freaking professional fighters. It could be anybody. But this PFL that you're talking about, this is interesting. It's it gives me that NFL vibe. Week 1, you got this fight against this person. Week 2, you got certain fighters in your division. I mean, I don't know exactly like that, but dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I was watching. I believe it's based on a point system. So if you get a knockout round 1, you're going to get the most points, and whoever has the most points at the end of the season is going to be, I guess, seed 1, right? So I guess knockout in round 1, I can't remember how many points, but let's say 10. If you get a finish in round 2, probably 5. And if you take it to decisions, it's probably a couple points, which is interesting. So I guess there's a lot of reasons to try and knock out your opponent round 1 so you can get that 1 seed.
Yeah, that's pretty intriguing. That absolutely flew over my head, dude. That was a good catch.
Yeah,
that's a very interesting league. I might have to tune in a little bit.
Yeah, I believe it's on Thursdays on ESPN. It was last week, but it's definitely on Thursdays. Might be ESPN too, but Thursdays for sure.
Okay, I'll stick with the unconventional MVPs. I'm gonna give my MVP to Oregon women's softball. I told you about this a little bit earlier this week, but I dove into it a little bit. So, going into a 4-game series, the Oregon Ducks and the Arizona Wildcats in women's college softball, they faced off in the opener on Friday evening. I was able to catch the game because the sun didn't go down, which usually when the sun goes down on a Friday, I'm knocked out. It's just an instinct. It happens. But so Oregon and Arizona could not get hits. They could not get hits. The Oregon pitcher was tossing a 1-hitter for the entire game, and the Arizona pitcher was tossing the entire game. And Arizona got a home run in the top of the 6th inning, which is the second to last inning in softball. And I'm like, uh-oh. They got the run that they needed. It's 1-0 Wildcats. Uh-oh. And when Oregon couldn't get a hit in the bottom of the sixth, I'm thinking, one more inning from perfection. And the Arizona pitcher, she threw 6 perfect innings. She needed to throw one more perfect inning for a perfect game. And the Oregon pitcher did her thing. She struck out the side or whatever, got the out she needed. Left the Wildcats with 2 hits on a game, 1 earned run on a home run. Okay, masterful performance. But they still got a girl on the opposing side with a perfect game on her hands. Dude, so why am I handing the Oregon Ducks the MVP? Andrew, imagine you're on a team. You're on a baseball, softball team, or any type of baseball, softball, anything like that. And you're up to bat in the last inning. Your team has not only been no hit, but the pitcher is pitching a perfect game. You have not had a base runner all game long. Dude,
believe it or not,
the top of the order is up.
It's happened before.
Yeah, I feel like it has happened before, but I feel like it's so rare. I definitely never seen it.
No, personally for me, I've been no hit before.
Oh boy. But so Oregon gets a leadoff base hit. I'm like, oh, there goes the no hitter, there goes the perfect game, there goes it all. And then the second batter hits a sacrifice bunt and move the runner to second. I'm like, okay, now the game is actually in jeopardy. The winning run is at the plate. You just went from perfect game to winning run at the plate. And dude, the batter hitting third, I think her name is Tara McGowan. She hit a home run in the left, and I thought she did a little backflip at the end of it too. She swung, and then she just kind of laid the bat down, like just laid it down, and then she started clapping before she even got halfway through the base path. I'm like, oh my gosh, the swagger. And just like that, Oregon won the game. I was like, yo, I couldn't believe it, dude.
That's painful. That's really painful. It's painful when you see MLB pitchers go into the ninth with a perfect game or a no-hitter, Galarraga and the Tigers, and something happens. But it's painful whenever you lose a perfect game or no-hitter, especially in the later innings. It's unfortunate, but that is pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude. And another thing about it is, it's not like one of these two teams were, extremely bad. No, Arizona was ranked 10th in the country and Oregon was ranked 12th. So these were some pretty good softball teams that we're talking about. And they just, first of all, they just had a pitcher's duel. I'm looking at the box score. I'm seeing zeros. I'm seeing ones, twos. I don't know if I even saw. The only 3 I saw was probably the number of at-bats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and here are the final stats for the pitchers. Hannah Bowen was the one that went from perfect game to losing pitcher. She had 6 and 1/3 inning pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 7 strikeouts in 6 and 1/3. Oregon's pitcher, Brooke Yanez, she has 7 full innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Eek.
Yeah, those are 2 good stat lines. It's insane. That's a pitcher's duel.
Yeah, so that's why I give my MVP to the Oregon Ducks, because they literally hit Arizona with the Uno reverse card, went from perfect game to a walk-off home run. That was insane.
Hey, that's a good pick. I like that.
Yeah, but now we must move on to LVPs. Andrew, who is your LVP?
There wasn't any team that really stood out or any player or anything, so I just had to, pick the Tigers. They're terrible.
Oh.
They're terrible. My hat right here. They're terrible. They're terrible. They have 10 wins. 10 wins. 10 wins. It's terrible. I had some, I wouldn't say high expectations, because when you root for a Detroit team, you can have high expectations, or you're just going to get heartbroken. But my expectations were a little bit high. Obviously, new coaching staff, a few new acquisitions, and it's been really bad. The hitting has been terrible, except for last night. They did get a win, but it's been bad. It's been bad.
This might be the only time in top of the standings history where a team, a player, or an organization or a thing has been handed an LVP after winning a game. Wow.
Maybe, but you know how long it took them to get their 10th win? What's the date?
Yeah.
What's the date?
I saw them stuck on 9 for pretty long. I'm sorry.
What's the date? It's 5-9, and they just got to their 10th win.
Oh, jeez. Did they get? Was it like 11 days in between the 9th and the 10th win or something?
I believe they went like 1-9 over their last 10, so probably. I think they were on a losing streak of 7, 8, maybe.
Oh, jeez, man. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. On our road to another first pick in 3 years.
Whatever. But my LVP goes to a team that is actually in playoff contention, so to speak. I mentioned the Philadelphia Phillies earlier. I'm giving this LVP to you, Philadelphia, because you should not have lost that game last night. Dude, I'm going to go into further context. I didn't say this in the previous segment, but dude, when they went up 7-4 in the top of the 12th, I turned the game off and did something else. I was like, okay, this game's over. I'm going to go do something else, do something productive. See, Andrew, when you turn a game off, the game should be over, right? That's the unwritten rule of sports viewers. When you turn a game off, you expect the game to be over.
Yeah, you are 100% right.
Now, I was aware that Atlanta was going to be gifted a base runner at second. But, bro, literally with one swing of the bat, you went from 7-4 to tied at 7, didn't get a single out in that inning, and all of a sudden you just breathed a whole lot of life into the Atlanta Braves. The Braves were struggling. Freddie Freeman went on a slump like 0 for 22 in the dude, it was ugly. It was Francisco Lindor ugly. And I was just like, did they awake the beast? Did this Philadelphia Phillies team awaken the beast that is known as the Atlanta Braves? Sunday Night Baseball, 6 o'clock on ESPN. That game will show if they woke up the beast. With their ace on the mound, if they don't win this series, Philadelphia's in trouble.
Hey, that's a fair assumption. That is a fair assumption. It's really tough when you blow those late games, especially being up by in baseball standards, that's a lot of runs. If you're up by 3, that's quite a few runs. So it's not a bad look. I mean, hopefully they can regroup. I like the Phillies. I also like the Braves. So it should be an exciting one for sure.
Yeah, it's fun to see two teams that you really don't dislike just punching at each other, because they don't like each other. You know that. But, dude, literally, the Braves did everything in their power to hand the game to the Phillies. So many dumb errors by both teams, frankly. But especially by that pitcher, who threw a wild ball past the catcher, and he goes and he just zones out of the game, gets on it, he just crouches down like, dang it, I missed the throw. And then another Philly scores. I'm like, dude, something is up with the NL East and their awareness, because I've seen the Phillies just absolutely zone out, error. I thought a robot had just got a bucket of water poured onto it. Like, error. Philadelphia, you got to get this straightened out. You're a really good team. You got Bryce Harper. You got a relatively decent lineup. I'm thinking Andrew McCutchen and Didi Gregorius are above average players, which I still think they are. But, man, they have not been living up to expectations. It's been bad compared to what we expected this Phillies team to be, man. Hold this L. Hopefully you can turn it into a dub, but right now it's an L, Philly. You got 2 of them in your name, so I'm not surprised. So,
Dang.
All right, Drew, let's get to some trivia. Didn't you have a Michigan State-based question for us?
Yeah, I asked before 2021, Michigan State had a player drafted in the NFL draft. How many years straight? I think you guessed 10, right?
Okay, I guessed 10, and you said that was nowhere near. So I'm going to go ahead and say 35.
Okay, somewhere closer. The answer was 80. 80 straight years they had a player drafted.
Whoa! Whoa!
Isn't that insane?
Whoa.
Isn't that insane?
80.
I mean, you wouldn't really think Michigan State of being, really like solid NFL players. Obviously, you got Kirk Cousins and a few other players, Le'Veon Bell, but 80 straight years. That's impressive. I mean, I'm sure not many of those players they made the team, they got drafted, but longevity in the NFL questionable. It's insane. When I saw that stat, I was like, that's crazy. It ended this year, but 80 straight years, and then a Michigan State player was drafted in the NFL draft.
Wow. 80. Okay, yeah, that was well off. You know what I should have done? I should have said 10 times 8.
Perfect. That would have worked.
Because that's my number and your number combined.
Yep.
Dude, what is up with this whole number system?
That would have been perfect, but 80 straight years a Michigan State player was drafted in the NFL draft. That's insane.
Wow. Well, I'm going to actually, for once, I'm going to ask a little bit of an easier question.
Yes.
Something that I probably haven't done that consistently in the history of this trivia question. But I'm going to ask, how many teams in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs have never won a Stanley Cup?
Man, that's tough. I would have to look. It's tough going off the mind. I'm just gonna say 4 less than 8-4.
Okay, I mean that's reasonable because I mean usually the teams that make the playoffs, you would expect them to at least have a cup or at least have one cup or two, or maybe one of the original 6 teams get in there, or maybe a few of them and stuff. So not a lot of choices, but still some variety in there as well. I think it's a pretty interesting question because you look at the playoff brackets every year, like, are we going to see a first time champion? I mean, I've seen 2 straight first time champions with the Capitals and the Blues. So it should be very interesting to see if there is a first time champion. Obviously, we didn't get one last year. I know you wish you did, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I like that question quite a bit. It keeps you interested in the playoffs. I like it.
Yeah, but man, we talked about a lot in probably our shortest episode since the inaugural episode.
I was just about to say that exact same thing. Hey, there's too much to talk about. The NFL draft ended last week. We covered that. Now it's just on to, playoffs and the NBA and the NHL and then baseball.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting chase. I mean, there's still a lot of playoff races left in there. And obviously the MLB is going to MLB, I mean, we're going to see some exciting games because, I mean, there's so many games on the slate. I mean, there's something bound to happen, a walk-off, error, even a no-hitter bid again. I mean, we got 2 and 3 days, but imagine getting no-hit by your interstate rival.
That takes it. That takes the rivalry to another level. But Jotham, same time next week, man.
Oh, you already know it, Drew. If you guys enjoy, give us that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or whatever streaming device you're using to watch Top of the Standings. Give us a like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and then give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. The Big 3. Oh, and also check out our newly created website, Top of the Standings. This has been episode 35. Kevin Durant, your old number is on Top of the Standings. Congratulations, bud. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Storm Surge!